Veterans Voices. In our latest installment, meet the man who served in all 3 branches.
And state park fees expected to rise ahead of this camping season. Your KCAU 9 News at 10 starts now.
We are Siouxland proud. This is KCAU 9 News at 10.
And thanks for joining us. I'm Tim Seaman.
And I'm Sophie Erber. Tonight, the FBI and local authorities are warning the public about vaccination scams.
KCAU 9 News reporter Mallory Smith tells us what some of those scams are and how folks can best avoid them. Details in tonight's top story at 10.
That's right. There's a few scams circulating around right now. I spoke with the Sioux City Police Department, who gave me tips on what to do if you ever find yourself in a similar situation. More people getting vaccinated means more of an opportunity to scam, and police say while they can't prevent the criminals from scamming, they can educate the public.
Scams need to be stopped. They continue to prey on the weak, take advantage of the weak, and those that are more challenged than people that are sharp and with it. It's just ridiculous that we can't get them shut down.
Officer Andrew Deltler with the Sioux City Police Department says 90% of scams can be avoided as long as you don't give out your personal information and pay attention to signs.
When it comes to spotting these scams, anytime you have to personally pay out of pocket for the vaccine or you have to pay out of pocket to get on a waiting list for the vaccine, it's probably a scam.
He says any phone call or email you're getting regarding the vaccine should come from your local district health department and the CDC. If you're vaccinated and have your vaccine card, police say do not post a picture of it on social media. It could end up a part of another scam, the distribution of fake vaccine cards, which is punishable by a fine and/or 5 years in prison.
When it comes to the vaccine card, that is something that's handed over to you when you go and get your vaccine. So wherever you're getting it, whether it be a mass vaccination clinic or you go to one of our local pharmacies, they will give you a card at that vaccine clinic.
The Omaha FBI released a warning about one scam where people are receiving calls and texts asking them to participate in a post-vaccine survey in return for a prize. But none of the vaccine brands are asking for that. If you do happen to fall into a scam, report it to your local police department. They can keep record of it and help others be prepared for what's out there. Mallory Smith, KCAU 9 News.
And there will be a public vaccination clinic at the Siouxland Expo Center. That's this Thursday, April 8th. Siouxland District Health says there are still appointments available for anyone over the age of 16. And that's not the only option for Siouxlanders right now. Drilling Pharmacy, Thompson Dean Drug, as well as CVS and Hy-Vee pharmacies, all offering appointments. We've gathered all the resources you need to find a vaccine provider near you and get registered. To see it, just visit our website right now at SiouxlandProud.com or the new KCAU 9 mobile news app.
After first asking every state to open vaccine registration by, to all adults by May 1st, President Biden is now giving states a new deadline of April 19th. The White House said Monday that nearly 1 in 4 people is fully vaccinated now. However, Dr. Anthony Fauci is warning that America isn't out of the woods yet.
Several of the states are pulling back on mask mandates. They're pulling back on restrictions on capacity for restaurants and bars. It is premature to declare a victory.
And Dr. Fauci added that the country is on the brink of another surge and said now is not the time to let up on safety precautions like mask wearing.
More key witnesses for the prosecution take the stand in the Derek Chauvin murder trial. The man seen in the passenger seat of George Floyd's car when police first approached last summer made his appearance today, but it came during a closed-circuit hearing from jail and without the jury in the courtroom. Morris Lester Hall recently told the court he will invoke the Fifth Amendment if asked to testify. During today's hearing, the judge ordered the defense to write specific questions out for Hall. Meanwhile, the prosecution called more high-level members of the Minneapolis Police Department to the stand. Jurors heard testimony that officers are taught to make critical decisions in dealing with people in crisis and then to de-escalate the situation. And here in Siouxland, a missing couple from Cherokee, Iowa have been found. 78-year-old Barbara Arndt and 79-year-old Kenneth Arndt were located in Omaha, Nebraska after being in a traffic accident. Their family has been notified. Cherokee police want to thank everyone who assisted.
Woodbury County supervisors have now interviewed 3 candidates for the county's vacant treasurer's job. Applying for that position include Tina Bertrand, Mike Headed, and Colby DeWitt. Supervisor Rocky DeWitt abstained from that process because one of those candidates is his nephew. The board is set to make a selection for that treasurer's job coming up next week.
We're just going to have the whole discussion out in the open, and then we're going to have votes as long as it takes. We may have 2-2 tie votes because of the abstention from Mr. DeWitt, but that's just something we're going to work through as a board, and we're going to have that discussion open. We're going to make those motions open, and we're going to have all the discussion out in the open.
The public does have the right to request a special election to determine that job holder. There would need to be over 4,500 signatures within a 14-day period to the Board of Supervisors to then make a selection.
Open enrolling into another school district in the state of Iowa might be a little easier if a bill the Senate passed tonight becomes a law.
Let's talk about these 357 students who were denied open enrollment out. We should acknowledge that each of these districts works really hard to maintain a balance in their districts. But when we look at denials of bullying and harassment and failure of IEPs, failure to follow IEPs that result in lack of educational attainment, all of these should concern all of us.
These voluntary diversity plans are part of a decades-old desegregation effort, so districts can balance those transfers based on a family's income or an English learner's status. They say this bill would give more options for parents and for children, but Democrats say these school districts are already approving the majority of their open enrollment requests as is, and that this legislation could harm efforts to keep schools more diverse.
What these districts are trying to do is trying to preserve a modicum of mostly income and class diversity within the district. Isn't that the way we ought to be building our society? Is trying to bring people together.
This bill still needs to be approved by the House.
If a dangerous storm or tornado should strike, do you know exactly where to go and how to stay safe in all situations?
Not everyone does. The National Weather Service wants you to take a safe place selfie and also share it on social media.
It's part of their campaign to prepare communities for the severe weather season.
If it's at work or at school or at home, making sure they identify that place in advance so that whenever severe weather comes and we need to take shelter really quickly, we don't have to think about where we need to go. We know exactly where we're going to go.
As most people know, like places of like the basement or an interior room on the lowest level of a home, those are good places to go. They don't have windows and they qualify as a safe place.
You could participate in tomorrow's event by posting your own picture on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram and using the hashtag #SafePlaceSelfie. Just don't put your COVID vaccine card in that selfie and you'll be really safe.
I'll see you on Twitter tomorrow.
Maybe. I'm bad at Twitter. I'm a millennial that's bad at Twitter. What is a good thing to practice, Scott, is this, because look what's going on behind you. There was a chance that parts of Siouxland saw hail tonight.
Right. Thankfully, to this point, Tim and Sophie, we have not had any official severe weather in Siouxland, but a handful of powerful thunderstorms with some heavy downpours and also some frequent flashes of lightning. You can see that we have some storms that are continuing to work their way to the north-northeast through portions of Siouxland up toward Emmitsburg and Esterville. We'll zoom in toward those storms. You can see near Spencer some indications of some small hailstones there immediately east on Highway 18. And again, some scattered thunderstorms spreading further east into Kossuth County around Algona. We're also focusing in on these thunderstorms to the southwest of Norfolk, continuing to work their way into Madison County. Some heavy downpours, a lot of lightning, and some small hail. Wherever you see that area of blue on your screen, that's where the radar indicates that we could have some hailstones coming down. So we are still keeping an eye on things as they develop tonight. Again, to this point, there hasn't been any severe weather reported, but we do have a slight risk spread across Siouxland, and you can also find that we have a marginal risk for eastern communities inside of the green. As far as severe weather goes for tonight, the biggest risks with developing thunderstorms would be large hail or damaging wind gusts. We're talking about hail of 1 inch in diameter or greater and wind gusts above 60 miles per hour. It looks like the best time frame for seeing any of this occur would be between now and about 11 o'clock tonight. So the window is beginning to close, and then we can just expect to have some garden variety showers and storms for the remainder of the night. At this point, we don't have a severe thunderstorm watch locally, but as you travel into central parts of Nebraska and northeastern Kansas, that's where the stage is set for some more strong storms there. In fact, you can see that line of powerful storms continuing to advance through central Nebraska, or central Kansas, I should say. Those storms have been verified to be severe, and you only have to travel about 200 miles to the west on Highway 20 to be able to find some snow showers that are happening in central Nebraska. So that's an idea of how powerful this large system is. Here's a glance at our stormcast now. It shows that low pressure is going to continue to work its way to the east, and during the course of the day tomorrow, we'll have cloudy skies, a few blips on the radar, really. It probably won't rain a whole lot during the daytime hours. Early in the morning and late at night, the day is going to be bookended with shower chances. As you can see, that some more rain is going to be rising on the back end of this system, and it's likely that some more rain will pinwheel in on Thursday, and we'll have a continuation of the showers. In fact, it looks like the rain isn't going to completely come to an end until we turn the clock to Friday. By the time that the rain does end, we should expect to see between 1 and 2 inches for many as far as the rain goes, with the heaviest totals expected to occur in northwest Iowa, getting over 2 inches on the ground in Spencer and Esterville, and about 1.5 inches in Storm Lake, as well as Sioux City. So it has been dry, and that would be beneficial to be able to get a good dose of rain in the region. Here's the view outside now from the Ho-Chunk Center camera in downtown Sioux City. And around us, we've seen a few flashes of lightning tonight. And on the north side of Sioux City, at least, there were a couple of brief downpours. 69 is the temperature in Sioux City. We have a southeast wind of 13 miles per hour, and it feels humid outside with a dew point in the mid-50s. As we look at temperatures now, you can see that cooler air starting to advance in. It's 54 in Yankton. A big contrast, though, 64 in Cherokee, and the wind is still blowing in from the south for many, and it's sustained between about 5 and 15 miles per hour. So we still carry the potential for a few strong storms tonight. It is going to become rainy as that system continues to work its way in. We'll have a low temperature of 50 degrees tonight, and tomorrow a high temperature of 54, and early in the morning and late at night is when we have the greatest opportunity at some showers on the radar. Here's our 9 on 9 forecast. Now we have another chance of seeing rain extend into Thursday and even Friday. Still a little bit of leftover rain to get through with a high temperature of 58. Thankfully, for the weekend, we should start to dry things out. We'll welcome back some sunshine with high temperatures in the mid to upper 60s. And as we move into next week, it looks like we'll cool things off just a touch with highs between 50 and 60 degrees and another small chance of rain coming our way on Tuesday. Taking a look at one of our pictures that were sent in now. This was actually sent in by Sophie Erber, and you can see that we do have some turtles there hanging out on a couple of the logs there at Bacon Creek. And if you have a picture of your own that you want to share with Siouxland, go to our weather tab at SiouxlandProud.com and send us your photos. Thanks for that one, Sophie.
No problem. Thanks for showing it, Scott. And I've got to tell you, there were about 5 to 7 more logs filled with turtles just like that, all at Bacon Creek.
That time of the year, they're kind of getting back into the routine a little bit.
You know it's spring.
That's right. Well, and the rain helps as well when you talk about this time of the year. And that means summer, of course, is just around the corner.
My favorite season. Iowa campers are getting ready for camping season, but they'll be seeing prices go up at camping sites around Iowa. We'll explain why coming up.
But first, a Siouxland veteran spent several decades in the Army, Navy, as well as the Air Force. Find out why he had to leave the service. Coming up next.
You're watching KCAU 9 News with Tim Seaman, Sophie Erber, Chief Meteorologist Scott Larson, and Sports Director Jake Jones. This is KCAU 9 News at 10. KCAU.
He's almost spent more time in the military than he has as a civilian.
KCAU 9 News reporter Lydia Vasquez tonight sharing the story of one veteran who says he didn't want to leave the service at all. His story in this week's edition of Veterans Voices.
Sergeant Bill Prado served 30 years as a United States soldier. In those 30 years, he served in the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force. 20 years later, Sergeant Prado says he wishes he could do it all over again. He was just 19 years old and wasn't sure what he wanted. But Sergeant Bill Prado says he knew what he didn't want.
I did not want to go to Vietnam, and because they were having the draft in, and I knew that if I went to the Army, I would not to the draft, I would not probably be here today.
So he spent the next 4 years in the Navy.
This is the ship I served on. As a matter of fact, this picture right here, this copy, was in officers' quarters. I worked right up here on the flight deck, and what you're seeing right there is steam coming out from the catapults.
Sergeant Prado would then go off to serve in the Army for 16 years.
That's a whole different ball of wax. And when you're out there with the Army, you go sleep out in the woods, and you learn how to maintain yourself. And you learn how to live off the land sometimes.
He says he didn't fight in combat, but he trained for it anyway. But that wasn't the end of Sergeant Prado's story.
I loved serving my country. I love my country. Even to this day, I love my country. And I figured the best way for me to honor it would be to help protect the citizens of the United States.
That's why he spent the following decade in the Air Force and even joined the 103rd Fighter Wing Honor Guard in Connecticut.
The contributions of Sergeant Prado were instrumental in the 103rd Fighter Wing Honor Guard becoming a quality organization which has brought great praise to the organization and to the Connecticut Air National Guard.
Sergeant Prado says the military meant fighting for his country, but it also meant unity.
It was camaraderie. You know, you don't have very many friends like you have in the military, you know, and we all look out for each other's backs. No matter what we've done wrong or what we've done good, you look out for your buddy all the time.
Sergeant Prado came to Sioux City in the early 2000s where he retired.
I was sitting at my desk one day and having a cup of coffee, and the commander come up to me and says, "Sergeant Prado, it's time for you to go." I look at him and I say, "For what? What have I done wrong?" He says, "Nothing. The only thing you've done is you've spent more time in the military than there are people alive on this base."
Sergeant Prado says if he could, he'd re-enlist in the military, specifically the Navy. For Veterans Voices, Lydia Vasquez, KCAU 9 News.
And KCAU 9 News is proud to tell the stories of our Siouxland veterans, and we're looking for nominations as well. So if you know of someone that deserves the notice, make sure you pass their name along to us, Veterans Voices. You can send it to our email at veteransvoices@kcautv.com.
Well, the camping season is nearly here. Many state parks begin turning on their modern bathrooms and showers on April 15th. State park fees this year at most camping sites at state parks will be coming with a higher price tag. The DNR is increasing camping rates from 25% to 55% at its most popular parks during peak season. At Ledges State Park in Bowen County, for example, a full hookup site will cost you $26. A standard non-electric site is $14. The increases are the first in more than 20 years. The additional money brought in will be used for renovations, upkeep, staffing, and promotion. That looks like a beautiful spot.
Indeed. We were talking earlier about avoiding some of the raindrops that hit around town, and Jake's in now. He's got some folks that were really glad it didn't rain tonight.
They sure were. Jake, what do you have?
Yeah, no kidding, guys. Track and field's a little tough to do when things get muddy. It's going to really hurt your times. And the season getting underway this week. And I got your highlights from the Sergeant Bluff invite still to come after the break. 17th, which was added by the Missouri Valley Football Conference, is canceled due to Western Illinois opting out of the rest of the season, meaning the Coyotes will end the year on 4 straight cancellations and a 3-game losing streak. But in the end, head coach Bob Nielsen believes USD has grown from the experience.
You look at those 4 games and you say, hey, those were 4 bonus games that every one of our guys got. You know, that, with the NCAA's rule on not counting this year as eligibility, those 4 games were opportunities to play with their teammates, opportunities for our team to grow together, opportunities for us as coaches to find out more about our team. And
tough end of the year for sure.
All right, thanks a lot, Jake.
Indeed. Stay with us. Scott's back. Another check of that Wednesday morning forecast coming up. First, this live look from our tower cam here at KCAU 9.